Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From Dubai, I'm Adnan Sohail, your host and moderator of this webinar, which is super exciting, but in the same time, super important topic, which we are going to talk. With me is Amalia Sterescu from Bucharest, Romania. And I appreciate everyone who showed interest and they got registered for this webinar. Definitely, I can understand in a lot of the part of the world, it's a weekend, it's Sunday evening, and a lot of people might be getting ready for their family dinner or preparing kids for school tomorrow. So I appreciate everyone's time who showed interest, got registered, and today they are here to watch this important topic. So let me quickly introduce, first of all, my guest, and I would love to, here we go. I think so there is a lot more which Amalia has to talk, but my job will be just to give a little bit introduction of herself. Great. So, Amalia, welcome in the show.
Well, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Adnan, for your invitation. I'm really excited to speak about public speaking this evening, especially about myths and reality related to public speaking.
Indeed, I'm pretty much sure that it's going to be an exciting session, as a lot of people, honestly speaking, I know that due to the internet and digital age, a lot of public speakers are now on stage, and people start to idealize them, and at the same time they think that one fine morning they can just stand up and they can just go and they can start public speaking. So I will ask you, first of all, leaving with you, that Amalia, tell me your journey, your corporate journey, and how the transition happened that you quit that thing and you started your own venture, especially on public speaking.
Well, thank you for this question. I used to be a corporate leader working for corporations with global footprint. I used to lead startups, internal startups in Romania, China, or India, sales support teams dealing with customers from 51 countries all over the globe, including Middle East. But at one point, I decided to start my entrepreneurial journey, and this happened 7 years ago. Obviously, it was not easy, it was challenging, but it's very exciting. So I founded the first public speaking school in Romania 7 years ago, and since then I trained personally in public speaking more than 1,300 people, professionals or children, but also understanding the need for visibility and differentiation from some professionals in our market. I founded Branding You, which is one of the first personal branding agencies in Eastern Europe. It was an interesting journey, And about public speaking, obviously, when we are in the corporate world, we do a lot of business presentation, but business presentation is not necessarily public speaking. When I started my entrepreneurial journey, it was necessary to understand my public, my audience. I always travel, long travel to Korea, China, States, Latin America, but I was a little bit disconnected from the Romanian business environment. So the best way to reconnect with the business environment, it was to go on stage. And I remember that in my first year of entrepreneurship, I was a speaker to 27 conferences. And in this way, I was able to reconnect with the audience, to understand their needs, but also to have a critical look at myself as a speaker. And I remember when I look at my first recordings, I was a little bit disappointed because I realized I was too corporate. I was too stiff. So what I did, it was to train myself. So I enrolled to some public speaking training in London with Dr. Richard Bandler, Paul McKenna, and others in order to become a better public speaker for myself. And it was one question received one day from a professional who said, do you know someone who is doing a good public speaking training? And I raised my hand. And this is how my public speaking school started actually 7 years ago, because I realized it was a strong need in my market. There were many professionals ready to go on stage, but they have lack of structure, lack of experience, public speaking anxiety, and all this, you know. And I supported them to go out of their comfort zone and to show the world who they are. So this is what I do since 7 years ago. Obviously, I do a lot of things. I organize open trainings about public speaking or leadership or personal branding. I work with corporations from all over the globe, mainly with companies which are having businesses here in Romania or in Eastern Europe. And I like to write. I write about leadership, public speaking, or personal branding, and I am published on current basis, you know, in various Romanian magazines. I'm a member of International Leadership Association, and I do collaborate with International Coaching Federation, doing various public speaking appearances or holding some webinars.
Interesting. Amalia, you have got really a great profile working with Oracle over 8 years as a vice president. You quit that and winning a lot of different awards during this journey, and overall then landing onto the space where you decided to coach people and to build their brand. So about our today's this session, anyone who is watching this from any part of the world, you could be an individual, a student, or a teacher, probably a business owner, maybe a professional presenter, or a manager, or a coach, or existing motivational speaker or public speaker, or maybe you are thinking to become in future a public speaker. So there is no doubt public speaking is a great way to show your leadership and communication skills. And in today's this session, exactly these are the things which we are going to talk, that if you are experienced public speaker, what kind of skills and what kind of things you can polish from this session. And if anyone is interested to become a public speaker, what they can learn from this, how they can set the foundation. Once again, warm welcome, Amalia, and all the viewers. Thank you very much for everyone's time. Amalia, next thing I would love to ask you, that you are wearing many hats at this time, running different projects. So tell us particularly about this public speaking school which you set up. I know that you spoke a little bit about it, but I want to really understand that public speaking school. Was there any inspiration? Was there any need? Or you have felt that in the society, especially I know that you are working with the young people, like just starting from 8 years onward. So what was the reason that you chosen this age group to develop them?
Thank you for this question, Adnan. So it was You know, it's like seeing a headline on a newspaper. Once a shy child, now a pioneer in public speaking coaching in Romania. I was a shy child, you know, and but life challenged me, having different leadership roles in various corporations, and I had to do various business presentations. And then in order to support my own business, I started to do public speaking. At one point, I realized that, you know, I have to improve myself and to raise the bar all over again. And I realized 7 years ago that in my market, it was a real need for public speaking coaching. I can see the speakers that they are doing slides reading. They are confusing business presentations with public speaking, that they are not memorable for their audience. And I can see that. Why? Because I was lucky enough to attend many international conferences in States or in other parts of the world. So my standard was a little bit higher than the market at that time. So I realized that I could help people to defeat their public speaking anxieties, to be more structured in their speeches, to be memorable, and to understand that public speaking is not necessarily about selling something. It's about sharing. It's about giving an idea, something that will transform, something that will help the audience to change something in their hearts or in their minds. So that was my goal. And I was happy to see, so I educated the market initially. It was no public speaking training done in Romania. We had only business presentations. So I was one of the pioneers, and I educated the market that there is a need. And also, you can use elements from public speaking in your business presentations in order to be more persuasive or to be memorable. And that was my effort since 7 years ago. I did that in work classes, in various group classes. I did that one-to-one. And I was so happy when I've seen professionals which came to me with various anxieties or various issues, like not using properly your body language, or not having a proper structure, or having a serious anxiety of stepping out, you know, in front of people, and seeing their progresses. That's my greatest satisfaction. And then I realized, you know, that public speaking anxiety is not something that you will be born with. It's something that you will, let's say, gain during your life from various incidents or situations. So I said, well, if we will start earlier, educating kids in public speaking, maybe as an adult, they will become better communicators, better managers, better leaders. So I extended my services, and now we have an entire education journey which starts from 6 years old to adults and professionals. So for every stage we have a program because we want to support people to get out of their comfort zone and to show the world who they really are.
Amazing. And 2015 was the year when I was reading your profile that you decided and you introduced public speaking in the Romanian public school curriculum. And I must say that that was a huge thing. How is it going so far?
So it was an initiative. So my idea was to convince the state authority, especially the Ministry of Education, that there is a need for public speaking in school. So what I did, it was to have some conferences in high schools with teachers, with parents, with students, to convince them that public speaking is good for their future career in the current world, where communication is one of the best competencies you can have. So, and then together with some teachers, volunteers, we prepared together a curriculum. Then I trained as a volunteer 100 teachers in Bucharest in order to be able to train the students to speak in public. And then we went to the, let's say, formalities and bureaucracy of the Ministry of Education. And the reality is that that curriculum was lost somewhere. But the teachers who were trained, in public speaking, they started to apply in their schools. Some of them, they started some clubs. Some of them, they started some initiatives, some private initiatives. And at least this is good, because now more and more schools are having optionals as public speaking as optional. About the curriculum is still there on their list, but it seems that from some reason it was not a priority, and that's a shame. This is why I started to do my own, classes with kids, because I said I can do something that I can control, right?
Right. So do you think that this could be right approach, like people who are watching from the different part of the world, like, and I'm sure that a lot of people are teachers, like they are trainers, are teacher, school teacher. Do you think that they should give some dedicated time, hours in a week, in a month, that so that they can uplift this skill into young ones?
That will be great, because, what I am saying to our students is that in this world, you are not competing only with the high school or the university from your city. You are competing with the entire world. And there are parts of the world where public speaking is including in their curriculum. And when you will be at the decision-making table with other leaders from other organizations or from your own organization, you want to be able to communicate properly. You want to be to be comfortable being out of your comfort zone, and to speak in public, and to be able to motivate your teams, and to be able to be the leader that you wish to be, So I think it's great. So if we will, be able to make the school boards more receptive to public speaking, and I mean public education, because in private schools, for the majority, they already have public speaking classes. They have more debate classes rather than public speaking. Debate is necessary, but also public speaking is necessary. So if we will convince more public schools that this is important for our future, for future professionals, I think it's a great mission, and I'm part of it.
I personally totally agree with you that this is generally the soft skills which in a lot of part of the world, in cultures and societies, generally soft skills is something which is missing. People just focus more on to their education, their technical education, to complete their university degree, but the specific part of soft skills, and particularly if I talk about interpersonal communication skills, public speaking, presentation skills, is lacking. So definitely from this comment, I'm pretty much clear, and everyone who is listening to us, that they should encourage their kids as soon they start to understand that how they can become more confident, and they should focus on this skill also. A question I have for you. Generally, people talk about leaders. Leaders are made, or leaders are born. And then we listen, managers are made, or managers are born. Today, my question to you is, public speakers, they are made, or they are born? And same is here, comment from someone's coming that, I think so, it's Rahil, he's asking this question. I will bring the screen. Is there any science to become a public speaker, or only overcoming the hesitation to speak in front of people is enough? So both things are in front of you. Comment.
So thank you very much for this question. So I strongly believe that every professional can become a public speaker. There are a few conditions for that. First is to have a training in public speaking. Secondly, to have exposure, to push constantly out of your comfort zone, and to go and to speak in public, to use every opportunity, no matter the group size, no matter if there are friends or it's a business context. Exercise, practice, because this will help you. And sometimes if the stage fright is very powerful, maybe some psychological support will be helpful. But I've seen progress. I work with people which are saying, I cannot be a public speaker. Public speaking, my fear cannot be defeated. And then they were able to speak in front of 1,000 people. Why? Because they have the motivation. It's important, it's mandatory. If you don't have a strong motivation to go there in front of the public and to share something, you won't do it. You will find every reason to avoid that, right? So motivation is key, practice is key, training is another one, and coaching and self-evaluation after every appearance as a public speaker. Go to your speech and see what was missing when you were on stage. Look at your recordings and with a critical eye, realize what was good and what you can improve next time, and set some goals next time for your next appearances. It's a learning curve in public speaking. The progress will not happen like this. So I have people coming to my classes saying, if I'm doing this program, in how much time I will become a great public speaker? And my answer is, in the first 6 months, you will, get exposed to various type of audiences, various groups, various topics. You will still have anxiety, but at least you will get used to it, with the stage, with the audience, with the certain, using some content. And then after 6 months, after you spoke, let's say, to at least minimum one conference per month, you will have some experience, but that will not be enough to make you an advanced public speaker. An advanced public speaker you may become after 1 year of continuous practice. But you know what? If you stop, you will regress. So you will always have to have a calendar booked with public speaking events. Should be a constant effort. And now in this pandemic situation, do not avoid online events, because, this will allow you to practice your skills. And when the situation will be, let's say, we will be ready to go on stage again, you will be there and you will not have any regression into your skills. So motivation, coaching, training, and practice. And you will be there. I guarantee it. So I've seen progresses.
Amazing. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people getting excited and they are seeing themselves in the future as a public speaker, are learning this art, whether you call it art or science of public speaking. Can you tell that what is the starting point from where they can actually start? How do they have to do some learning, as you are saying, that to attend some coaching sessions, prepare first of all themselves psychologically, find out their why they want to become a public speaker. So can you just tell now that what is actually the step from which they can start to become move towards the journey?
Okay, so first it's the training. So check for some good public speaking coaches or trainers who are able to, and choose the ones that are also doing public speaking, not the ones that are speaking from theory or from books. Choose the ones that are on frequent basis on stage, because they will teach you from their own experience. And it's a big difference, studying public speaking from a book, from Dale Carnegie, for example, or studying public speaking from a person who is doing that on regular basis. There are classes, held by actors, or there are classes held by voice trainers, or there are classes held by leaders, or there are classes held by public speakers. So my suggestion is to choose a public speaker, because he confronted all those situations, horrible situations on stage that we are afraid of. And they will be able to teach you how to handle this. So once you enroll in that, so a good public speaking trainer or coach will check with you your motivation, your strengths, your development areas, and also your opportunities to speak in public. And one of the biggest mistakes professionals are doing is that, okay, so now I'm able to speak about this and this, and you are in a waiting mode, waiting the organizers or the event organizers to contact you and to invite you. And it's not like that. It's not working like this. First, you should do some volunteer public speaking, and then you should connect and do some strategic networking with some event organizers. You can propose some valuable subjects for their audience. And then, if this is not working, you can create your own events and you can practice. Another step after fulfilling the training is just an open door. What happened after? It's the magic, actually, because, I have people which are coming to my classes, and I always say to them, in this class, there are two categories of people. People who will go out of that door and they will say, okay, I learned how to do public speaking, and that's it, so they will not practice, they will not put into their calendar some events, they will not negotiate their appearances, they will not do networking in order to obtain engagement, they will not enrich their content with different topics that may be useful for their public. And there are people very keen to succeed, very keen, to go on stage or to use every opportunity to speak in public. And that's key. And then if you will, you are a perfectionist and you want to be great in public speaking, you may hire a coach for, at least 6 sessions. And with that coach, you can have support in preparing your speeches in advance. You can analyze your performances on stage together. You can have some conclusions, and then you can set your next objective for progression in public speaking. It's a journey. It's a journey, and you need to allow time. But this will not happen if your motivation is not strong. So you need to check your motivation first.
Motivation. And after that, how do you categorize or give weightage to their communication skills, their sound quality, body language, and itself, I will say that dealing with that anxiety and pressure and speaking in front of the people. So what are the other important elements?
So well, let me share a little bit, and I'm doing this for the first time, some myths in public speaking. So one of them is that, well, if I'm an extrovert or if I'm an excellent public speaker, I don't need preparation. And that's wrong. So preparation is key. A speech prepared is 90% delivered. So you need preparation. You need to understand who is your audience. What type of audience do you have you have corporate, you have students, you have entrepreneurs, which will be the key message for every audience. Which are the information that you need to collect in order to have enough content for your speech? Which should be the proper structure? Then which will be the stories and the jokes and all the spices you can add to your speech? Which will be the proper closing for your speech? You need to prepare that. If you will have an engagement and a public speaking engagement, and you will start preparing only one day before, you will just accelerate your chances to fail in that speech. So you need preparation, and even extroverts, even excellent public speaker, they prepare. So do not forget that. Another one, it's about your goal. So your goal on stage shouldn't be, you should not focus the conversation about you or about your company, because it's not about you, it's about them. So figure out in advance which may be their needs that you may, which may be their questions or their problems, and you may share your solutions from your own experience. You can share something valuable for them. So public speaking, it's not necessarily about selling. It's about sharing. It's about giving something to them. So this is very, very important. Then another myth is about the audience, So, well, I was successful with this speech once. I will always be successful, no matter my audience. And that's so wrong, because your audience is different every time. And you need to understand which is in the room and what expectations they might have. So understand your audience needs and understand your audience segments, how many women, how many men, how they receive the information, they like figures or they like stories, combine them always, right? So there are many other aspects about one especially in my region, there is this perception that business presentation is in fact public speaking. And in my opinion, it is not. Yes, you may use beautifully some elements from public speaking, like, stories and powerful introduction and closing and images and so on, in order to emphasize some aspects in your business presentation. And more professionals are doing that. But business presentation is business presentation. I've seen people which are, appearing on stage as public speaker, but actually they are just slides readers. They are reading the slides. And when you are reading the slide, your head is moving like this and you are not making contact with your public, which it's a pity, you will lose connection and this will make your speech less memorable. Another aspect, let's say a myth, if I am a very good public speaker on stage, I will be a good public speaker in an online conference. Surprise! We've seen these months, there are many professionals which are usually they are very good in public speaking, but somehow the fact that their body language is cut because they cannot move in front of the screen and they use only their hands, the fact that they cannot see their audience and they cannot connect with them as they used to do, it's like a handicap for them. And this makes them less effective than they used to be on stage. So every excellent speaker on stage needs to adapt their communication skills to the online environment because it's not the same. It's not the same. And we are having significant limitations due to the online communication. And our message sometimes cannot go through, so we need to adapt. Another myth related to public speaking, it's about, if I'm a technical person, I don't need to include stories into my speech because technical details will be enough, right? But stories, metaphors, comparisons are the spices of our speech, no matter your audience, and no matter if you have technical people on stage or you don't. Do not be too tactical or too strategic in your speech. There is an American linguist, Hayakama, and he said, you on the ladder of abstraction, you need to move gently from being tactical to strategic and so on. So no matter if you are a technical person and need to deliver a technical speech, do not forget to not stay only on the tactical side of your speech. Go on and show the people the big picture and the strategy and why it's important. And also use stories. There are the spices of your speech because adults are learning through stories. And this is really, really helpful to get your message through. And one more thing about opportunities. So there is this myth about the fact that if I'm a good public speaker, then someone will see me and will invite me to speak in public. Yes, probably, if you are lucky, but usually at the beginning of your, let's say, public speaking experience, you need to create opportunities for yourself. So so check make an inventory of your strategic contacts, connect with media organizers or event organizers, propose some topics valuable for their audience. Sometimes the organizers are coming with a subject which maybe is not suitable for your experience. And you have the power to negotiate. And you can say, for this type of audience, I think that I can help extraordinarily if we can speak. I can speak about this. This will create more value for audience, and you can negotiate that. So always choose the events that will put you on a good light, which will give you the opportunity to speak about your major topics, where you are very, very strong, right? The events where you can make a difference. If you have a lineup of 10 speakers, you will definitely be memorable. right? So make sure you do the right choices. So I see another question here, how public speaking can be used for business development. Well, I think, I'm using my own example. So in my first year of entrepreneurship, as I mentioned before, I was speaker to 27 conferences. And you know what happened? People know me on stage. They connected with me on social media. They were interested about my services. They came to me very curious and find out more information. So there is a connection. You have this amazing opportunity to speak in front of hundreds of people. Can you imagine your efforts out of stage? So if you will not be a public speaker, can you imagine your efforts to be known in 1 hour by hundreds of people? Only going to one event and speaking public, you have interactions post-event, you have networking opportunities, and you have business opportunities. So for me, definitely, it was an open door, a door full of opportunities, which helped me to implement, to increase my business. Working with professionals, even so, if they are entrepreneurs, right? So some of them are using public speaking to attract more customers, to attract more connections. I've seen that, and it's working everywhere. If you are working for another company, you are not an entrepreneur, you can play beautifully the role of ambassador for your company, selling subtly, with the services or the products, or, the CSR initiatives and so on. And I think there is always a business opportunity connected with your public speaking appearance.
Great. Here is a question which came from a couple of people, and they are asking how to improve sound quality, how to improve their vocal as a public speaker.
Yeah. So I always ask this question. Have you received any feedback about your voice? I mean, do you think that your voice is not okay? Your voice is not convincing, your voice cannot be heard, your voice cannot play with various tones. If you receive this feedback, then yes, you can focus on some voice training. If you didn't receive that, probably your voice is fine. You just need more comfort and more, more arguments to go and to speak in public. If you have some, let's say, needs in order to improve your voice sounds, what I recommend, I do not do necessarily voice training, but what I do is to work with various voice tones. It's like, last week I helped a Greek customer, to prepare his own suitcase of voice tones for various situations. For example, if you have a motivational team, a motivational message for your team, which should be the proper voice. If you have if you need to communicate a strong message to your company board, which should be your voice tone. If you have to tell a story, a powerful story, but you need to create attention, which should be your voice tone. So understanding the fact that your voice is very rich and educating your voice to sound differently based on the messages you want to deliver, it's just an exercise. And I am doing this with my coaches.
Right. Can you please tell us a little bit about the body language also? I have seen that sometimes some people, they are having great knowledge and their sound is good, and but when we see their body language, that's not that much convincing. And I know there is a huge psychology and science that your body is portraying, how much impacting it is. So tell us a little bit about the body language and how to improve it. Generally are the mistakes which people do while they are standing in front of the audience over the stage?
With pleasure. So one advice I have, so before going on stage, do not sit. you know, because the adrenaline wave will hit you and you need to be prepared. So before going on stage, you need to stand up and to move a little bit and to leave the adrenaline, you know, to flow, because otherwise you'll have a shock when you'll be in front of the public, right? So the best way to use your body language. So where to stay on stage? Always position yourself in the middle, because positioning yourself in the middle will not show any, let's say, you will not be seen as frightened or, you know, anxious, or you'll be powerful. In the middle, not on left, not on right. And then you will come up with the power pose. The power pose means that your legs are a little bit spread, your shoulders, you know, are aligned, and your hands are in front, and you are smiling. No one will figure out that you are, you know, having a lot of emotions if you are smiling. And you take a little bit of break, because you want people to pay attention. And that's the power pose. Why hands orientated up? Because this is honesty, you know, and people tend to believe more a person who has the hands in front, not at the back, and, you know, not like this, because this is an authority gesture, in front, like this. And if you have a small meeting room, your gestures will be small. And if you have a big room, your gestures will be larger, right? And what kind of gestures are allowed, right? So be careful. Maybe if you are speaking in a different country, there are some gestures which are not, let's say, politically correct in that culture, so stay away from them. So using hands here, right? And usually when you are very motivated and you are speaking with passion about your subject, your body will speak also. Your body will use naturally your gestures. You know, when you know that the speaker is not convinced about the topic, or is not prepared, or, you know, it's with his mind in a different place, when the body doesn't talk. When the body is saying like a statue, right? And you are not using gestures. Gestures can be illustrative, 1, 2, 3, or small or large. So use your hands, even in online communication. I want to see your hands. You know, you will increase your credibility if I can see your hands. Do not stay with your hands like this. Do not stay with your hands like that. And move. Move slowly. How to use space? You know, imagine that the room is like a big pizza, and you will do contact with every slice. Now I'm doing this, so I'm, you know, usually you can start your message with a move, right? And you can move in this part of the room, you finish your message, you stop the move, you make a pause, you make eye contact with one person, and then you go back to the initial position, and then you can move to the other direction, use eye contact, you know, and always connect your messages with your movement. Why? Because people are paying attention when you move, right? Well, if you are having an audience which is bored, let's say, they are not paying attention, they are, let's say, okay, so they are not there, they are touching their phones and going on Facebook. You can use a different voice tone, and you can be more energetic, and you can move more, because you'll bring more energy into the room. So it's very critical, you know. There are just a few examples, but gestures are like spices. So use them. Do not stay like this, you know, with an equal voice, because you'll lose them.
Amazing. Here is an interesting question coming from Amir and Amit, and he's asking how to make eye contact. Just tell us about the confident eye contact, please.
Yes. So American standards are saying that eye contact zone is this area. So this triangle, eyes and nose, right? So obviously in various cultures, it's not polite to, you know, to stare, or usually eye contact is considered that you are doing eye contact if you are looking in that person's eye for 3 seconds, no more, 3 seconds. but enough that for that person to feel that it is seen, right? So there are speakers who are looking above the heads. They are not doing eye contact. Why? Because sometimes they are not prepared enough, and they think that they will lose their ideas, their speech, if they will connect with people, you know, they will do eye contact. So a reasonable contact will be in this area for 3 seconds. How can you exercise that? How can you practice that? In your group, in your team, go in front, speak no matter about what, choose a topic, right? But ask the group to raise their hand every time they will be, feel that you are doing eye contact, right? And in this way, you know, you will practice your eye contact. Eye contact, it's a matter of practice. You know, when you know that you really did some public speaking progresses, when your mind will not question, okay, what's next? What's the next idea? When your mind will focus on them and will do eye contact, and you will smile and you will feel them, and you will adapt your speech based on what you have in front of you. That's progress in public speaking. And eye contact will come naturally. Every time we are anxious on stage, or we feel not prepared, we avoid to look in the people's eyes. Once you are prepared, once you are confident, once you are there to share, not to think, oh, what do you think about me? Oh, for sure I will do a mistake. If you will do that, you know, if you let your inner critic to do that with you, you will set yourself for failure. So do not do that. So eye contact will come up naturally after you practice a lot.
Amazing. It is said that first impression is last impression. And when you go in front of your audience, okay. Right. Okay. So, Amalia, it is said, which I was saying, that first impression is the last impression, and you will never get a second chance to make your first impression. I have seen a lot of people who are amazing in the stuff which they are going to speak in front of the audience. And with the passage of time, like after a couple of minutes, they start to gain confidence, maintain the strategic eye contact, become more comfortable to speak and move around. But how to start the speech, how to open the session? Do you have any tips for the opening session?
So the goal of the introduction is to capture the public's attention. So to make them move their eyes from their phones, from their emails, from their Facebook, and to listen to you after they heard 10 speakers before you, right? So in order to be able to do that, you need a powerful phrase. You need a powerful introduction. That's the goal introduction, to capture your public's attention. And that phrase could be a rhetorical question. For example, in my market, public is not responsive to direct questions. So if I will build my speech based on a direct question, you know, I will be with my speech in the air because I will not be able to continue because people will not answer. So having a rhetorical question like, I'm wondering how many of you had a great business presentation last week. No, I don't know. So it's just an example. So I'm wondering. I'm not asking you, I'm wondering. But saying that, you know, I bring people into my story. So make them, you know, think about your topic, right? So start with a short story, which will make the introduction to your topic. Start with an imagination exercise. Let's imagine this. Let's imagine how 2021 will look like for your business. What kind of challenges you may have. What kind of transformation you may have in the workplace. How you may use technology at a different level that you are using now. It's just an example. Let's imagine. When you say let's imagine, people, you bring people with their minds into your story, and that's a great way to start because the transition to your topic will be much easier. Another way is, you know, to state a phrase which is, let's say, very shocking phrase. You know, do you know that in 2024 it will be more people above 65 years old than people below 17 years old? And you know, it's something shocking. You can say something shocking about your industry. People will say, wow, and okay, you will have them there, right? So there are various ways, but never start your speech by saying, hello everyone, I'm Amalia Sterescu, I'm a public speaking coach, and today I'm going to speak about that. Oh, it's boring. It's already on the slide, it's already on the agenda, it's there. So tell me something new, tell me something that will capture my attention, right?
Great. Would you like to recommend any books on public speaking?
Oh, there are so many books, you know. It's Anderson Books, the guy who runs TED company, you know, which wrote a guide on public speaking, which is an updated guide, a recent guide on public speaking. So it's in English probably it's the TED guide for public speakers, something like that. And also it's Dale Carnegie for the classic public speaking training. Depending on what you would like to improve, there are also books about nonverbal behavior, nonverbal communication, how to use body language in public speaking. Right. I read everything was interesting for me, but mainly I use my experience. And all the events that may happen on stage, the good things and the bad things, you know, I incorporated them into my public speaking training.
Right. And tell that nowadays, as we are seeing that the things are changing across the world due to this COVID-19 situation, a lot of public speaking events which are not happening, and a lot of public speakers started to use the digital media. How it is different from actually going on the stage and standing in front of the camera, and how people can make it more impactful?
So I experienced also myself being speaker to some online events, and there are many, let's say, aspects which may affect the quality of your speech. First is the technical aspect. Even if your intentions are good and it's all set, sometimes there are some incompatibilities between the organizers and your systems, and this needs to be tested before. And even if you test it before, sometimes you may have surprises. So the technical aspects may affect the quality of your speech. Also, the fact that you cannot see your public, it's also very frustrating for some speakers, which are not having this ability to adapt. So what you could do is obviously to prepare more and to set yourself to make a setup which is advantageous for yourself. So for example, if I am doing public speaking, I cannot sit, you know, today I stand in front of you as I'm a public speaker there on stage, right? So why? Because I need to use my body language. I need to communicate, you know, with my whole body and to transmit my message more powerful. So I will do a setup which will have lights and sound and everything, which will not affect the first impression and which will not affect the quality of my interaction during that speech, right? In rest, the content, the introduction, everything, it's the same. However, if you have people online and you are able to see their faces and you are able to, you know, to ask them to open their cameras, that's a good thing, because you can alternate slides sharing with having them in front of you. It's more powerful because people are suddenly awake, and you know they may interact more often because you know it's a face-to-face interaction as in the normal life. So having a good introduction, having a good structure, having the right technical setup, having a good closing, interacting with people from time to time, opening camera and having not only chat discussion, but also face-to-face discussions online might be helpful.
Amazing. Here is another question from a viewer is asking how important is to having a story in public speaking.
A story, using storytelling, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's very, 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 very important. So I don't have enough words to say how important it is to use stories. So if you don't have yet a log of your success stories or your failure stories, or stories related to your leadership experience, or stories related to some successful customer cases, or about teamwork, about coaching, about related to your industry, start preparing them. Because when you will start preparing your speeches, you already have your success story log or important stories for your professional activity, and you can bring them into your speeches. Why? Because people, adults, are learning through stories. It's key, it's important, so use them. At least to have 2 or 3 stories into your speech. If you have a speech of 20 minutes, use at least 2 stories into your speech. And no matter if there are personal examples or you heard that story and it's powerful and you can use that into your speech, no matter that, use stories. Because, sometimes a good story, it will be always remembered rather than a graphic or something which will work with our analytical mind. Stories are useful because sometimes most of your public is very open to, it's looking for emotions, and stories are generating emotions. And it's more easy to transform and to change their hearts and minds in public speaking through the power of stories.
Amazing. Amalia, considering the limitation of time, and truly I appreciate once again that it's Sunday evening that you are giving us time. One interesting question, which is continuously, I really want to ask personally, that you author a lot of leadership articles in Forbes magazine, Business magazine, in Replica. And one important thing that I want to reach is about your book, which you published, Tango Dancing with Your Own Life. Tell us about this book. What does it cover?
Okay, so Dancing Tango with Life, it was published in 2015. It's a collection of 58 articles about relationships, about careers, about leadership, and some motivational articles. So there are 3 sections about this book, because Dancing Tango with Life actually is about my own life, about my own experience. It was sold in 2,000 copies in Romania. I have a version in English. It will be, it will be interesting for your audience. It is not published. It's just for my friends. But it was a success, and people now are asking me about the second book. And the second book, it's it's on her way to be published. So it will be about career seasons. The fact that we are going through various career seasons. We have spring, we have summer, we have autumn, and we have winter. And then we go again to the spring. So no matter what, it's very important to leave a legacy. And through all these articles and through my books and through everything I do, I hope, that I can support professionals. No, it's not a coincidence that my logo, it's, how to say, it's a lighthouse. It's a lighthouse because this is what I do. Actually, I think that I guide professionals through difficult career transitions, to the next step of their career, and, seeing them, how they progress. Actually, that's my best satisfaction, and I'm grateful when I have the chance to do this transformation. And in fact, I hope that this will be my legacy as professional.
Amazing. We wish you all the best for your next book. I know that questions keep on coming. And one important thing I want to ask, is public speaking just for men or for women? And you know that why I'm asking this question, when even we market this session that it's coming. I have seen clearly 70% were men who were interested to attend the session, who expressed their interest in they want to learn, and hardly 30% were women. Why this is such a stigma and how to overcome this?
You know, Adnan, when I started to do public speaking, it was a great event in Romania, and I've seen the lineup, and they were only men. And I said, I want to become speaker to that event, and I want to be the best. And somehow I managed to start to collaborate with that organizer. And at one point, they organized a contest into the audience, you know, who is the best speaker, the most popular speaker, and so on. And I've been awarded the most popular speaker to that event because I won it. Because I wanted to demonstrate that it is possible for a woman to be a great public speaker. Probably because I don't have an explanation. Depends on the culture. You know, in Romania, for example, there is an equal number of women speakers and men speakers, but sometimes the people who are in sales, they are more open to go on stage. And if you are looking at the sales departments, you will see a lot of men. And probably that might be an explanation, because the sales guys are feeling more comfortable to go on stage and to speak. And from statistics, salespeople are more men than women, right? But it's not necessarily a rule about that. So depending on the country and on the culture. So I encourage all the women, you know, to speak out, because every professional has a story. I always say, you know, when I'm asked about leadership, if there are differences between women leadership and men and so on, and I always said, this is not a question of, you know, if you are a man or a woman. It's about competence. And it's about experience, and it's about the stories you have, and it's about your willingness to share. It's all about, right? So find the proper events for you, train yourself, and go there, because you can make a difference no matter if you are a man or a woman.
Great. I'm sure that, like any other skill, public speaking is a skill which can be learned, which you can learn. You need to start from somewhere. So anyone who is watching this session, if you would love to become a public speaker, you are seeing yourself in your career as a public speaker, whether it's a professional public speaker, you are going to become a motivational public speaker, or you have to lead your team, you are the manager, you are the boss, you are going to run your company. This is a skill which you should learn from morning till evening till night, and then again the next morning we keep on speaking and we speak with public. So I think so public speaking is super important skill which everyone should learn. Any final thoughts you want to give, Amalia?
Well, I really encourage you to express yourself through public speaking, no matter the reason. If you want to be visible into your organization, or you want to share something from your experience to larger groups or to your market, if you want to be recognized as an expert into your industry, or you want to do volunteer to students and to bring your inspiration, you know, and to inspire other people, so use that with motivation, with the strong will, you know, to succeed and to share, because it is possible. No matter what keeps you now in your comfort zone, it is possible. Just try step by step, and progress will come. And I would be happy, you know, if I can support. If there are supplementary questions, you know, Adnan, you have my details, so people can ask me directly if I can support them into this journey. So public speaking can be learned, and public speaking anxiety can be defeated. And everyone has a message to be shared to the world. So do not miss that opportunity.
Amazing. It's amazing session. Thank you so much, Amalia, for your time. You really covered a lot of myth and realities which are associated with public speaking. I personally enjoyed it thoroughly, and I'm pretty much sure that the audience, as they were throwing questions, I'm 100% sure that they were enjoying it and they learned a lot of things from this session. Anyone who would love to learn more about public speaking, they can Search Amalia on YouTube. There are a lot of videos of her. I found actually a few videos in English, especially one is your TED Talks Bucharest. I think so that was the amazing one. I would love to recommend everyone if you want to watch that. You can follow her on her LinkedIn, her Facebook, as well as her YouTube channel for future content. Once again, Amalia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we would love to have you back again in future sessions.
I'll be happy to do that. Thank you, Adnan, for the invitation once again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who are continuously watching this session and series of this webinar. We will see you next week with a new guest and with a new topic. Till then, take care of yourself. And if you are having any feedback, any question, please feel free to send it by email, or you can send down in the comment section of this video, and we will be happy to answer you. Once again, thank you for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.